Match they won. Rather signalled their arrival on the big stage. Led out today by Jack Yendall. Despite increasing calls on their resources during the Six Nations window as a result of all that success since 2010, Chiefs negotiated it, and the absence of other players better than anyone else in the Premiership. 3 wins out of 4, plus that losing bonus point in the defeat at Kingsholm. Into the final quarter of the domestic season, once again at home. Time for the Chiefs to go to work. Really interesting listening to Rob Baxter this week. Half a dozen games to go, as we were saying. And he's been telling the squad, Lowell, that this week, today, the perfect time to put down a marker, really, to show the rest of the league just how much defeat in last season's final burns, how much it still burns, how determined they are that on June the 1st at Twickenham, they'll go one better.
Yeah, they're hungry to get that title back from Saracens, and they've worked so hard to put themselves in this position, and now this is the business end of the season. No surprise, Rob Baxter's picked all the big guns, get them straight back into the fold.
Carl Dixon, the referee. Sandy Park, once again, rammed to the Gunnels. Another sellout on a gorgeous Devon Sunday afternoon. Pure blue, sky blue, sky above. A little plane drifting away to the right-hand side to get a view as Rhys Priestland gets this contest underway. Bath in white, Chiefs in the black. Nick White is expecting to start at 9. Not so Joe Simmons at 10. We'll see him shortly in late on for the injured Gareth Steenson, who just tweaked his calf in the build-up. So a late whistle up from the bench for Simmons.
Use it now, please.
Controlling the ball, that long ruck. Big stretch from Yendall to create some extra space for White to get it away. Didn't find an awful lot of distance, and maybe relieved to get another go here. Yendall goes in as the emergency scrum half, and here's Noel, reacquainting himself with familiar surroundings. Dave Ewers barged over for a try at the Rec back in October. That big win in the rain.
Ball's not available.
The Wallaby
Now
White.
use.
Again, setting up the ball to provide the perfect balanced platform from which to clear his lines. This one longer, over halfway. Gathered by Tom Homer, who's enjoying the form of his season so far. Whipped away by Chudley, and Priestland and Jonathan Joseph, and now Jamie Roberts. Joseph and Roberts, a midfield partnership that Blackadder's been looking to put together for a long time, but injuries have prevented him. Not today, however.
Having Thock and a Singer outside, that is a real quality midfield.
2 minutes of constant play so far, and Bath
Simon
again
was good.
stretching legs, stretching lungs, trying to stretch Chiefs' defence. Chudley once more, cap to Joseph. Oh, good to see him back on a rugby pitch. There goes Zach Mercer.
So what, Rhys Priestland just shrugging a little bit with that collision. It was really well committed, but he's had to sit out the last few phases. Just talking to his physio, holding his side. But Bath continue.
So it's Roberts in that first receiver position, and Joseph crashing the ball on, and then a wonderful run. What about this? McConaughey going one way and the other, and Lowe calling for it on the far right-hand side. What a snaking run that was, and Joseph gets Bath going again. This is Thock and a Singer. Exeter's defence being stretched on the diagonal by the run of the winger. And then here's the tight head prop, Henry Thomas. Priestland. And Mercer. Charlie Ewell's amongst those working hard to clear some space over the top of the ball. This is Tom Ellis. Henry Thomas is waiting for us. It's always a long bursting experience playing at Sandy Park, and finally the first whistle after the whistle that got us going after 3.5 minutes of non-stop action.
Well, you certainly knew there'll be plenty of ball in play time, that's for sure. Bartha actually did so well to be able to cope with that Reece Priestland for a number of phases. He's a player that likes to take the ball to the line. It's a very good committed tackle. He's just weighing up his decision there. He's going to the post.
No, good timing.
But you can see at this point here, you're always looking to put pressure on the 10. He takes it to the line. It's a lovely hit from Johnny Hill, but he's hit him in all the soft bits of him, just from his rib. But how about this for a lovely line break? Jonathan Joseph, delay on that pass, and what a powerful run. You're just looking for McConaughey to actually maybe bounce to the outside and try and connect with his winger. Either way, he does so well. He's beat about 5 or 6 players, and if Bath can just get quick ball off there, they'd be definitely in for a certain try. Either way, retain the ball, 14 phases. It should be 3-0 to Bath.
In the opening 5 minutes, a busy first 5 minutes, it's Bath who lead by 3 points to 0.
Well, Tom Blackadder said they were... He felt that they turned a corner, felt that they got some confidence after that win against Saracens, and as I said, this is a bit of a shot to nothing, you know. Very few sides have actually come down here and won, so they can go out and express themselves, and in that opening 5 minutes, they've certainly done that.
Joe Simmons gets us going again. It was a relatively short, stubby one, but it didn't catch Charlie Ewell's out. He was aware. And then Stook and Priestland and Homer over the top of Mercer to once again involve McConaughey, who is a wonderful, sinewy runner, and here he is again. Good grief, he's covered some Devonshire miles in the opening minutes. And then that's a lovely flat ball from Priestland as well, involving Tom Dunn.
Tell you what, there's not many wingers that are able to go from 7s back to 15s with McConaughey. You can see the type of player that he is. He's big, he's strong, he's rangy. And the times where he's got the ball today, he's looked the most dangerous player on the pitch.
Priestland beautifully away, swiftly away, once again to McConaughey, and Mercer, and they would have been in because Mercer had Chudley to his left, and that has to go down as a big missed opportunity. Dennis waiting. And then back to Simmons, who sees space and seeks it out. Thokinasinger herring after the ball is a long way down when you Joe Thokinasinger and you're being hunted by Jack Knoll. What a wonderful little contest that's going to be between those two today. Yeah. Not so little.
He's managed to get him into touch. Just wonder whether Reece Priestland's still trying to shake off that hit earlier on. It's a bit slow to get himself back into position, but how about this for an opportunity? Look at that, straight through the gap, McConaughey again, and Zach Mercer, well, straight in his breadbasket, just takes his eye off it, and that would have been surely a certain try with a 2-on-1 there. He knows it.
And this is the tough thing for Bath. I mean, it's still early in the game, but at the time where they've had the ball, they've looked so threatening. But you know, when you're playing against a team that are top of the Premiership, you've got to take your opportunities.
First line out, it was Tom Ellis who was rising high to disrupt things.
Yeah, be desperately disappointed it hasn't resulted in a steal because Exeter have managed to retain possession and now have got the penalty.
Legal on the wrong side.
Goes against Elliot Stook, just lying on the wrong side, not rolling away, and a chance for Exeter to tie things up.
Interesting, just looking at the way that this match is opened up you two. Bath came here, Todd Blackadder would have told them coming here that if you're to live with Exeter, first and foremost, you've got to keep up with them aerobically, because that ball in playtime will be high, and it's what the Chiefs do better than anybody else.
Nick, every time I came here to Sandy Park, forget about tactics and everything else, but you just knew you had to be fit because you had to work. And the GPS monitors these players have on the back of their shirts, my meters were always at its highest whenever I had to play here, because they just play such an expansive game, go from coast to coast, look after the ball. Defensively, you're stressed, your legs are burning, your lungs are busting. and then you've got to try and find somehow to be able to get some shape and attack, and that's the challenge for Bath today.
And I think for them, rather than just kicking the ball away, they've got to do what they did in that opening 5 minutes, hold on to the ball and actually put this Exeter defence under a little bit of pressure themselves.
Joe Simmons starting when he wasn't expecting to. First points for him, first points for the Chiefs. 3 each.
Just talking about the emotional effect of actually making mistakes. You've got Bath who could potentially score under the sticks, a couple of missed opportunities, a penalty, and all of a sudden it's 3-3. And these are the moments, and this is the test whenever you play against the very best.
He'll start angled away to the left-hand side and hoisted highest by his mates, Johnny Hill.
Don't push it into him. Use it now, please.
Again, that long rock, giving as plump a cushion as possible for White to get it away. That was run onto nicely by Homer. Cat.
3, let go.
Chudley through a pile of bodies. Priestland, and here's Francois Lowe.
Carefully, Tom.
Strong carry from Lowe. Just got held up there, but had the strength to carry it on.
Yules, who'll have a lot of petrol in the tank, a lot of diesel, whatever he runs on these days. Training with England over the last couple of months, not playing much. He's playing today, as is this man, Thockin Singer. It's like a tree. Very mobile tree, a tree on casters.
Like a couple of trees, I'd say.
Priestland again, who's distributing the ball nicely and involving Jamie Roberts. Welsh compatriots. McConaughey trying to stretch Bath's defence on this near right-hand side, but they go away to the left and hoisted over the top by Joseph. Not of the required direction.
Yeah, a bit rusty there from Joseph, but you can see what Bath are trying to do. They've got McConaughey and Thockin Singer getting hands on the ball nice and early.
You notice those black armbands, by the way, the black tape that all the players, the Bath players, are wearing today. It's a little tribute to Jonathan Joseph's granddad, who has died recently. Head down, Harry Williams.
Going to see a good aerial contest, I think, once again here, and it's interesting that Thockin Singer's actually wearing number 14, but he's playing on the left wing. Wasn't sure if he'd be directly up against Jack Noel, but he certainly will be today, and teammates just last week.
It was a brilliant kick, and it was confirmed as a brilliant one by Noel's take. And what can Chiefs do with this? Devoto, who was once running for Bath with the ball, now running against them. And he made his home down here. Kvesic. Noel in midfield, popping up, goes beyond Yendel. This is Armand. First time that the Chiefs have gone through 5 phases today. Starting to find that rhythm. And again, at number 8, once again, Matt Kvesic and White and Simmons.
Puffy!
Harry Slade. Pass out from Cordero and a run to the line for Woodburn. More than a run. He's wheelbarrowed the ball over. A TMO check.
Hands up.
But if the TMO says yes, it'll be a try.
So for me, he's always crawling on the floor.
It was a try that never really looked like it was on until that lovely piece of skill.
Okay.
Little double pump.
It's a decision on is he tackled?
Yeah, is he tackled? Does he hit the floor and then get up and go with the second movement?
Or whether he's crawling on the ground to ground the ball.
Okay, we'll look at that. So
Keith Lewis is the TMO.
The first one from Tom Homer, he's most definitely not tackled. He gets through that.
Yeah, it's not held there, is he? So there's nothing wrong with that.
Is that a tackle?
I don't think the second tackle's ever made. I think that's okay as a try.
So Keith, from what I'm seeing,
It's Homer who's beaten, Priestland who comes back.
But Priestland never really makes it, never really completes the tackle.
Knee on the floor equates to tackle.
Okay, Carl, those are the angles.
okay, so from what I'm seeing, the tackle wasn't initially complete, but it was the second time, and he continued to crawl forward.
Correct.
And then try. So no try.
Correct.
Held. Okay. No try.
It's a good
Restart with the
decision.
penalty on the 5.
Tackle completed
Restart
when
with
your
the penalty
knee
on the
hits the
5.
floor, and Reece Fleeseland
Crawling.
mopping up Tom Homer's work. He manages to complete that tackle, therefore he's not allowed to crawl along, as Carl Dixon explains perfectly there.
It's crawling. Tackle was complete.
One bit of good news for Bath. The bad news is that in the middle of all that, poor old Henry Thomas, the tight head prop, had to be helped off the pitch. Medic underneath
Line, please.
either arm, and Anthony Peronise has come on.
On the line, please.
And Bath always knew that this was going to be a tough day scrummaging. Long scrummaging day. They've lost their tight head early.
Yeah, it's a big blow for Bath, that.
Mercer, meantime, underneath that blue helmet of his. Here's the hooker, Tom Dunn.
Just the other point in Peronise coming on early, you could imagine in a game of this intensity we're having to run a lot. At that 50-minute mark, when you want to put on fresh legs, well, Bath won't be able to do that any longer.
Joseph finding daylight, evading the challenge of Hill and finding Ellis, and Ellis has done well and barging his way towards the line. Lowe was up in support. Kovacic over the ball. Has he got there quickly enough? No. Chudley recycles. Taken on by Yules initially. And he's there again.
The forwards are taking over now after that wonderful little break from Joseph. Just slipped the tackle.
No hands! No hands!
Just trying to narrow Exeter's defence now, aren't they, with the pick and go.
Francois Lowe is looking interested, but he was initially red, but got that extra surge of momentum, but not enough to take him over the line. Nathan Catt is amongst those having a dig for the ball, maybe wondering if he can get there. Mercer as well. Chiefs defence
Side entry, 12.
on the highest form of alert.
Post comes into play now. Very close to that post. Just can dot it down on the base.
Got a penalty on the way. Flick back, taken on by Roberts. Not quite. Not quite.
12 is holding him in.
Low again. It's manful Chiefs defence, but it's needing to be, because Bath
Still
are
playing advantage.
trying to press all the buttons here. Again. Bath pressing and thinking that they scored, and they have. Nathan Catt amongst those who come up, and it looks as if Nathan Catt was the man who took the ball down.
Well, it's all about the patience that Bath showed at the base. They're doing an Exeter, two Exeter really picking and going, latching on. They always get that second latch, and then the third guy in almost as a number 8 on a scrum, and Nathan Catt manages to roll his way over. And look at that great control of the ball in one hand, one arm. That is not an easy skill when you're under pressure. Gets the approval off the Bath bench. Great start for Bath.
Got to say, Bath have played some really good attacking rugby. Their approach play into the 22 has been decent. The last pass hasn't always stuck, but the composure and the patience which they showed 5 metres out, that is brilliant.
Third try of the season, all of them in the Premiership for the loose head. One of those who'll be thrilled to be playing without injury again this season after all the issues he had last year. Yep, he's got it. Quarter of an hour gone. Exeter 3, Bath 10.
Yeah, I was just talking about Bath's approach play, and it comes from this bit of individual brilliance from Jonathan Joseph. You watch him here, absolute man on man. Francois Lowe, he'll call it loitering, Exeter will call it blocking, but it just opens up that little hole, and then it's about his dancing feet and his offloading game. And once they get into the 22, they don't leave. They leave with 7 points.
Restart snaffled by Ellis.
Yeah, didn't he do well as well? Getting fed by Joseph, cut in field, kept that play alive.
Yes!
Had a really strong season, Tom Ellis.
Falcon and Singer leading the chase for this. It's Cordero. Off he goes. He's done this better than anybody in the Premiership this season. My goodness, flashing feet from the bloke with different coloured boots. Bamboozling Bath's defence momentarily. And now Woodburn on the far left takes on Homer. Set himself early for the tackle and did well. Really promising start to this game. And here's Kvesic. Half thought about giving the outside ball to Ewers. Held on to it. Slade popped up and once more the fullback, Santiago Cordero. What about the feet? And now Slade, and this is Armand. Williams and Ewers. White drives it forward, so does Noel. He had Devoto up in support. Takes the hit, recycles possession. Simmons, he uses Kvesic as a shadow and takes the ball on himself. And now Cordero. A little bit of salsa at Sandy Park. Once more is Hepburn. What a response from the Chiefs to the concession of that try. Here, again, trying to sidestep his way through is Devoto, former Bath player. Simmons is waiting. Yendel's waiting as well. It'll be kept amongst the big blokes. It is Yendel.
Yeah, now it's Exeter's turn to do exactly what Bath did to them. Pick and go. They're so effective in this area.
It's Kvesic who took it on initially and still pushing towards the whitewash.
No, 7!
Hepburn has it. Zach Mercer amongst those doing what they can to protect the line, and they've done enough for the time being.
Yeah, really good work from Bath. You just felt Exeter were a little bit impatient there. In the past, we've seen them just show that little bit more control. But how about this break from Cordero?
They're clearing within the breakdown.
He's so balanced as a player. Lovely right foot step, but it's not just that, it's that awareness to keep the ball alive. It might look like a loose ball, but really all he's doing is shifting the point of contact. Most defenders beaten 78. You compare him to Naivoro. Very different style of players. I know the way in which he does it, and I'm slightly contrasting to a Big T does it as well.
Got a decent player on the way in next season. Stuart Hogg, I've heard he's okay. But they'll miss Cordero. He's off to Bordeaux, and I'm sure they'd have loved to have held on to him as well.
Well, it's just the fact that he's actually available every single week as well. Stuart Hogg, we know about his star quality, but Cordero, he brings something which not many players can offer.
Bind!
Bath have got it all to do here now in this defending this Exeter scrum. Just thought Exeter got themselves a little bit isolated on that pick and go. They were going in just individually rather than collectively, but they've got a chance to keep the pressure on now.
Let's both take the engage and hold, please, before the ball comes in. Left of the mark, please.
Yes, let's go. Let's go right now. Let's go, Rich. Yes, head. Can't give up.
It's Anthony Peronise who's at tight head now because of the injury to Henry Thomas.
Yeah, look at those scrum stats. Just getting a lot of penalties there. 47 for them.
Set.
Get a free kick. Choose to go for another scrum log.
You went to engage and you stood up.
I guess one of the reasons for all those penalties is, as Henry Thomas was telling us before the match with Sarah, they scrum long. They hold on to the ball for an extra few seconds in this area.
Yeah, they do, because they feel that they keep their back row down all the time and try and eke those penalties. And if they don't, at least it makes the opposition back row have to scrummage that split second longer, which again, when we talk about taking a side's legs away over the 80-minute period, is another big way of doing it.
Just quite like Simmons and Cordero just loitering behind the scrum. If the boys up front are able to deliver a decent platform, then you've got plenty of playing ability. Footwork ability of Cordero, especially that close to the line.
We spoke about in the changing room about height and stability. No one come here to watch scrums. Let's scrum properly, stay up and wait for the ball to come in. Let's go. Thank you. Time
One
back
or
on.
two, Mike. You never know. It's a fairly sweeping generalisation, that from Carl Dixon.
Quite a few in the crowd that probably like the old scrum, I reckon, but...
On a day like today, I reckon the front rows have got mouldies in.
Well, listen, I think the front row have just realised this is the first time they've actually had a chance to breathe in the game. 20 minutes, there's not been a lot of stoppage, is there? So they'll see to that.
Fine.
That's the setup behind the scrum.
Set.
It's the one which Bath having to deal with. You've got Joe Simmons, Cordero.
You get a penalty against them.
Well, mass celebration amongst the Bath 8, and rightly so. Celebration
That's a massive
led by
result.
Stoke, yeah. Penalty against Williams. Now, have they found touch? Yes, they have. Just gone over the line. Santiago Cordero denied. Let's have a chat with Darren Edwards, part of Bath's coaching team. Darren, we've been talking about how the Chiefs trying to take your legs away, your lungs away here. You'd have prepared this week for a high ball in playtime.
Yeah, we have. We know how to play against Exeter. You know, that's why we're keeping the ball as well, and we're starting to find the line breaks. So, you know, we've got the same tactic today. We just want to play with that ball in hand.
Give us another idea of how you play against Exeter. It's not as simple as that, is it? What else do you have up your sleeve?
No, it's not. And obviously, territory control is massive. And you know, that was a big pressure point we came through there in the 22. You know, we'll have a few of those to deal with today.
Henry Thomas, clearly now a lot of pressure on Anthony Perenise. It's a long time to go as a tight head on a day like today.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Anthony's been in the game a long time. You know, we'll certainly battle all day.
All right, brilliant. We'll let you get on with it. Thanks, Darren.
Cheers.
Does he mean he knows how to get through the next 60 minutes? That was unfortunate, having won that penalty on their own line. And it was a really lovely clearance up to the halfway. Just weren't able to get that throw-in straight done. You'd be disappointed with that.
Hearing, by the way, I was going to say from the touchline, but Craig's joined us in the commentary box, and he likes to busy himself during the match. He's found out that Henry Thomas has an ankle problem. That was the reason for the change. Devoto got a couple of wonderful runners in midfield today in Devoto, and of course in this man Slade. Upright, powerful, strong, beautifully balanced. Here's Kvesic spinning away out of attempted tackles. And once more it's Devoto, and not quite this time from Cordero.
There's this real tenacity about Bath defensively. They're really working hard.
Both were going in.
Look at that big hit there from Francois Lowe. You know, Todd Blackadder talked about them having turned the corner psychologically. Well, when you beat the champion side Saracens a couple of weeks ago, it does give you that confidence, and taking on another side at the top of the table, and they really have started, and I appreciate it's early days, but they really have started this game with a huge amount of belief. Look at that, 48-7 only missed.
Bath would have come here knowing that they're going to have to make a lot of tackles. They were forced into making 246 here last season, 223 at the Rec in March. It's a day to test your shoulders.
It is a day, and they're standing up to it so far. But what they've realised, and I think Darren Edwards just mentioned it there, is when they get the ball in the situations like this, they've got to hold on to it and put the same sort of pressure under Exeter.
It's a decent Chiefs shove, but Mercer gets it away to Chudley in time for Jonathan Joseph to try to profit from this position. Falconer Singer, part of the clear-out crew. Priestland waits, that line up quickly, and Homer looking to pierce it. He's lost it. Kvesic now. Devoto. Woodburn to Dennis, and here's Cordero again off on one of his wonderful South American adventures. Here's Noel. Bit more Devon and Cornwall about him. White lays it up for Johnny Hill. Busy underlining his value again this season. White once more beyond Yendall, and Simmons, and Kvesic with his arm in the air, but Simmons goes on his own, and Devoto against old friends scores. Oh, when they put it through the hands, it's a symphony. And Chiefs now with a try of their own.
Yeah, and again, it all came from Bath coughing up possession. Just felt when they got hit behind the gain line, they tried to go again down this short side. Tom Homer coughed the ball up under a lot of pressure. And then once they got him behind, Jack Noel first on that right-hand side. Joe Simmons has already shown us 2 or 3 times what a threat he is. Ball in hand, that little show and go. Gets him in behind. And then he's able to link up with Devoto and get over the line. Just thought for a second he'd been held up by McConaughey, but Devoto does enough to get the ball down.
He's a former Bath season ticket holder. He used to have a direct debit with the Rec a few years ago to get in. Now he's scoring against them.
Hey, I can't see.
That's a cracking game, this. Not yet half an hour gone. Try each, 10 each.
Here we are. Lovely little show and go. Simmons, that's the 3rd one of the game. And Devoto's got the strength. You've got to say, Devoto's made a really good start to this game. Eddie Jones watching on. He'll certainly be in the mix.
Yeah, he's been part of England's training squad during the Six Nations without actually making the final 23, but Eddie knows all about him, and he's behind us in the stands today.
Use now, please.
Not going to sing it. Marauds in field, but the smaller bloke Noel got hold of it, but it was a white shirt that comes away with it. And here's Mercer. Chudley looking to accelerate things, and Priestland finding Homer. Here's Jamie Roberts, tackled by
Don't push
Woodburn.
him back in, please. Advantage. 1. Thank you.
Priestland, Bath with free ball, and nicely away. Singer with the hands to Mercer, and then the sidestep from Mercer, and the brilliant tackle from Noel. A couple of blokes in blue hats, side by side, and well, Mercer's hurt himself, and he doesn't have a try
Hands
either.
off, please.
Yeah, he's such a rangy runner. He's got that ability just to put the brakes on when he's running. They found that space, Joseph, and then Singer, look, he just puts the brakes on, steps inside, and has actually got a lot more pace than perhaps he looks like when he's running. Wonderful offload from Singer, and as we see,
It's his left ankle.
yeah, Noel comes over, makes the tackle, just gets caught underneath him, doesn't it?
That's not nice.
Really? You're right, line up. 2. Captain, 2. That was 3 times. The 10 has been hit slightly late.
Let's hope that that isn't as serious as it looked, but it was in an unnatural position when we watched that replay.
He just got caught underneath him, didn't he, Hugo? And painful.
Really saw, just having a look back at Ollie Devoto's try, and just the ability of having numbers to the line and then good decision making. You see outside Joe Simmons, he's got 5 different options, and then it comes down to the 10 to pick the right one. Kick, pass, run. But when you run so flat to the line and you've got defenders and having to make decisions, you just need a decent fly half to be able to pick the right decision. In that moment, Joe Simmons did. Devoto was the benefactor. Exeter get their first try.
One of the things that Joe Simmons has really worked on this season, one of the things that Rob Baxter's talked to him about, is that extra zip running onto the ball, taking on the defence on the game line, and he absolutely displayed it to full effect there.
Mike Catt used to call it tempo running. It's not sprinting to the line, it's actually how you change gear when you go to the line to actually almost go fishing a little bit. You come to line, ball in 2 hands, waiting for someone to make a decision, bite, you pick the right decision, and he's certainly been doing that so far today.
Well, the good news for Zach Mercer is he's back on his feet. The bad news for Bath is that they've conceded the penalty. Bad news for Henry Thomas is that he's got a sore ankle,
Cross-line
and
and
that was the
landing.
reason that he left us in the
Effective
opening
setup.
few minutes. Now, having given Zach Mercer the all clear, maybe we were a little bit premature. They've got some injury problems in the back row, Bath, at the moment. Paul Grant is definitely out for the season. Talupe Falatau probably gone for the season. They've got a reasonable replacement on the bench in Sam Underhill, but he's only just making his way back from injury as well.
Yeah, they'll be looking to try and keep Zach Mercer out on the pitch as long as possible. There's Underhill. What an autumn he had. And then
how many numbers?
wasn't able to take
Six. It'll be a
part
six
in
man.
the Six Nations because of that injury that he picked up.
It's Hansela. You good? Okay.
Get your hands on our matchday programme the day before the game, plus exclusive video content with players and coaches.
It's a really tough decision. Zach Mercer can't continue without that strapping holding his knee into place. It's a game that you want to play in, but what's the impact for the rest of the season? I mean, Lawrence, you've had to make these decisions come off the pitch. I mean, how do you manage it?
Well, the other issue is that Francois Lowe will then have to go to number 8 because Zach Mercer's the natural number 8 in that back row. Francois Lowe has played there a few times, but they'd far rather he stayed on the side of the scrum.
It's interesting that Gareth Steenson, actually having felt the twinge in the warm-up, decided on a day like today, when there will be so much running, there's no point taking the risk. But Bath are continuing with Mercer at the moment.
Well, the other thing, Eddie Jones is here. He certainly doesn't want to waste an opportunity to try and impress him. He started really brightly.
Devoto comes across to act as an extra latcher as Don Armand, or rather Dave Ewers, took it in. Williams over the top, Hill as well.
Use it now, please.
Now once more, the position laid for White to box kick. Noel, as always, will be challenging for it in the air with Thokana Singh, and neither of them claimed it. In the end, it was Stuke who lays it back to Priestland, and now Homer. He's playing with some confidence, Tom Homer. He had a tough spell at the beginning of the season. You remember the try that he ought to have scored at Ashton Gate, but he's looking quite a player at the moment, as is McConaughey, although that wasn't quite so sharp. Straight into the arms of Cordero.
Won't work out how he wanted it to, did it?
Tackle off the ball. 13, tackle off the ball. 13, tackle off the ball.
Penalty against Henry Slade.
Thank you, Phil. Just on the 5, please.
What about that kick? Oh dear.
Option, 22.
Well, it's a big mistake.
I don't mind it. I actually don't mind it. We saw it with his first kick to touch of the penalty, where he's just looking to get the maximum out, and I'd much prefer a fly half, try and take everything off it. I mean, that's, what, a couple of metres from landing 5 metres out. It is a mistake, but I like it, and for me, it's an illustration of how confident he is. I mean, that's a tough kick, 5 metres out.
Go, let's go. Time
And
back
look
on.
at it.
Just make
Was
touch,
it
though.
all at 1
That's
metres?
good,
You're in
lads.
the bar
That's
4
good,
pack, you
that's
do mind it, I assure you.
On the line.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like the confidence,
For
though.
his captain, you really do mind it.
I think he might have been getting a lol earful if the great man had still been out on the pitch.
So having a look at the phases and how it's contrasting, Bath have had the far better possession in terms of their continuity of the ball, but when you look at the territory and the possession, there really isn't much behind it, but Bath just going through the gears that much better.
Set.
Bath did what they could do to try to disrupt
You've gone
that.
backwards, then you've gone down. He's gone forward first.
In their attempt to do it, Nathan Catt found himself in an awkward position.
Yeah, he went they went round the corner and then went backwards, and at that point just lost his footing and went down. Just levelled it up there, and again, look at this pressure now. Could have easily been down somewhere close to the Exeter 22, and now they find themselves defending in their own red zone.
On the edge here.
Here we are, the penalty there. Not much in that, really.
There's Bath's try scorer. Over the top, Devoto. Taking on that midfield defence, which was populated by Priestfield and Lowe. White. Oh, it was behind Hill.
It's all gone backwards.
Kovacic amongst those who went backwards to clear it up.
Scrum down, white ball.
And Bath will have the ball. Net result,
White
a
ball,
profit
going forward.
for the visitors.
That's a great result for Bath. They've worked hard. And again, I've got to admire their tenacity
White going
defensively.
forward, so it'll be a white
Every
ball.
time they've been under pressure,
I felt
they've
he's
really
gone
fought
forward
for each
first,
other.
and
They've
then you've
worked
gone down
hard,
in it.
and they forced the turnover.
We'll go inside.
Charlie Ewell's right at the forefront
Inside.
there.
Carl Dixon just confirming that the scrum is inside the 22, so should it come back out on the Bath side, Reece Priestland can wallop it straight into touch, if indeed that's the plan. Maybe Chudley can wallop it into touch, we will see. Ali Heifer, head coach this season alongside Rob Baxter.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Decent figures
Yeah,
for the ball carriers.
They are decent figures. And what's been really impressive from a Bath perspective is they're just edging the possession stats, and very few sides come down here into Sandy Park. Probably given the conditions, they've decided they're not going to kick the ball away, they're going to try and play their way out, and certainly profiting at the moment. Look at that, 53-47.
Former man of Bath, Neil Hatley, watching. Well, two conversations linking him with a return to Bath at some point in the future, we will see.
Bind!
Got his mind on a World Cup with England right now.
Now, he definitely has come down to watch the scrum.
Mercer, who is still with us, 5 minutes to half-time. Kovacic driving over the top, wearing 8 again today. Priestland, the ball was inside the 22.
Thank you.
He knew that he could fire it long. He was looking for touch, doesn't find it. An Argentinian denies him instead, and off he goes onto the dance floor. Ball's been stripped away. And Chudley and Priestland, and it's Elliot Stook, one of the larger men in Devon today.
No, please. No.
Peronise, head down into the arms of Ewers and Armand. Chudley, oh, nicely done by Roberts, that little wall pass, and taken on once again by Homer.
Did superbly well there, Homer, didn't he? Got caught behind the gain line. The ball goes back to Priestland, trying to find some space, but hasn't.
Yep. And you find Joe Simmons and Noel. Head up, ball in both hands, now head down as he runs into that white wall. Just inside Chiefs half, taken high above his head by Alec Hepburn. No Ben Moon today. Injured, you will remember, in the opening minutes of the game last weekend. Cordero. And here's Slade. They've got some soft shoe shufflers in that back line today. Dave Dennis a little bit more forthright, but it works out wonderfully for him in the guise of Ewers as well. Woodburn, oh, he got around the attempted tackle of Lowe. Now, how quickly can Chiefs recycle this ball? Slade, Noel, Johnny Hill furthest left.
Straight
Williams as well. Yeah.
He's about the clearance, okay.
Armand, oh, wonderfully done to find Yeddo! Big men, soft hands, in harmony, Chiefs ahead.
Yes, that wonderful offload back on the inside. Sort of managed to conceal it ever so slightly, and Anthony Peronise unable to make that tackle. John Armand and Jack Yendall in tandem. And he just delays it long enough. Look at that, just turned
I
at the
thought he
last
was on
minute.
and then he let go, then strip. Apologies if I got it wrong.
Perenise
Okay, I apologise.
doesn't chase his feet on
I thought
Yendel,
he moved off it.
and that's the simplest of tries.
It's lovely. You got a back rower picking on a couple of front rowers,
Game will restart.
and it's just the timing of that ball. It's a lovely inside line, but just beaten for pace, patience, composure, quality skill, good running lines.
Only Tommy Hayes has led the Chiefs more in the Premiership. I don't think Tommy Hayes scored as many tries. I'm dredging the memory banks. I'm sure that Tommy will tell us if he did, but you can rely on Yendel to pop up regular times during the season.
Spoke about those tired legs in that bar front row and losing that one man off the bench. Well, in that moment, 39 minutes, it certainly showed.
Well, they have come from behind on the cusp of half-time. Chiefs now ahead for the first time. Exeter 17, Bath 10.
Yeah, here's the try again. It's that swivel pivot inside pass. Yendel able to evade the tackle of Perenise.
24 seconds left.
Bath haven't done much wrong in this half, but if they are going to kick back to this Exeter Chiefs back three, they've got to kick on the front foot.
What about the restart? Lord Aid of Statshire was very quick off the mark with that question about Tommy Hayes. Tommy Hayes got 3 Premiership tries in his time here. Jack Yendel's already got 20. So there's the answer.
Okay, final play. I'm going to go with the guy who told me you got off black first.
Final play of the game.
Here we go, here's our mark.
It's going to be a put into Bath, I think, is it? They managed to get
Let's go
the nod in terms of the knock-on from the kick-off. Let's have a look at this. Yeah. Well, it looks like it went backwards first and then forwards off a Thok and a Singer, so...
It's not the first game where we've had a bit of controversy into the red at the end of the first half. Had it at London Stadium yesterday, slightly different scenario.
Quinn scored from that. Let's see what the visitors today can do with a little stroke of fortune.
I'll come back. So
all the highlights,
we need to take it,
by the way, if you missed anything from yesterday, if you missed the game between Saracens and Quins and anything else that's happened this weekend in the Gallagher Premiership, all the highlights wrapped up tonight. BT Sport 1 HD at 10:30.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Will Chudley urging his pack to drive on, Lolland draws its reward.
Yeah, and you've got to think, I don't know, Priestland, is this within his range? Will he actually just put it into the corner because there's still time to take the line out, even though the clock's in the red? Or...
It's going to the corner,
yeah,
Lol.
yeah, he's got to, isn't he, really?
How close can he get with this one?
Well, this really now is an opportunity.
It's interesting just to see that breeze picking up the touch judge's flag on the far side. It is it's blowing with Bath in this first half, which may be significant in the second.
Well, there was a hint at it when we tried to see Nick White with the box kicks. They kept hanging in the air for Jack Knoll, but if Bath could get something out of this line out, I'd be very, very happy.
Taken initially by Yules. Can they get something with the win just before half-time? Francois Lowe's in there. He manages to slip it back, but it's all loose. And it was Johnny Hill who went on top of it. However, another penalty going in around the corner.
Yeah, they came in at the side just to try and cut that off, spin it round.
What are you going to do?
Well, Rhys Priestland's just wondering if he's going to take some points or whether he pops it into the corner.
Yeah.
It's got to be the corner, surely, keep the momentum going.
He was never bound in there. 6. No, offside, because he was in front.
It's a big moment, I think, for Bath, clearly for the scoreboard, but psychologically, when they've lost matches in the red at the end of the 80, to pick something up in the red at the end of first half would be massive.
Again, it's Yules. Again, Chiefs
That's
trying
one.
to shove them towards that far touchline.
They've got to come back in field, Bath. They've got to do this the hard way, I think, but Exeter have done brilliantly.
Oh, not quite brilliantly enough, however, and here goes Roberts, 5 metres short. Time was up a long time ago, but still we play Mercer. And there's no way of getting that ball clear. Good work from Woodburn just to smother things, give that Chiefs defence a little bit more time. Chudley, and now the big barging run from Yules again. Centre field, they can go right or left. They go through the middle instead with Chudley. And the applause led by Matt Kvesic, and Exeter have frustrated Todd Blackadder's Bath right at the end of that first half.
Yeah, they'll kick this out. Just needed a little bit more patience there. They seemed to rush that at the breakdown, and the ball kept spilling out.
Well, Bath struck first. Nathan Catt with the opening try. Exeter struck back. Ollie Devoto and Jack Yendall. A thoroughly agreeable way of spending a Sunday afternoon. Half-time, Exeter leading Bath by 17 points to 10.
2 minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen. Make your way back to your seats for a thrilling second half. Ladies and gentlemen, teams are coming out of the pitch. Please move back to your ticketing positions, or you will be moved by one of our wonderful stewards.
Well, Bath have played well, though, in that first 40 minutes. Darren Edwards telling us that they've hit upon a formula for testing this lot, and they certainly did test them. However, in a Premiership season, when we have, I guess, reached new levels of bonkers, Exeter, with a fun fight going on for league positions behind them, have quietly, effectively gone about their business. Their levels haven't dropped at any point. Here they are, 40 minutes away from it. Well, we've not reached the end of March yet. 40 minutes away from securing their place in the playoffs. It's extraordinary. Just need to avoid defeat this afternoon.
Time on, please.
So, with that stiff breeze that we mentioned at the end of the first half, it's the Chiefs and Joe Simmons who get us underway again. Simmons, if you're late to the party today, starting because Gareth Steenson picked up a calf strain in the warm-up. Jonathan Joseph, well, that's gone loose. Asking a little bit too much of Tom Homer, and a bright start for the Chiefs right at the beginning of the second half.
Yeah, that's the danger when you're trying to play too much in your own 22. Bath playing with confidence in that first half, but Homer makes the mistake. Now they're under all sorts of pressure. We saw the reason why they didn't want to kick. Nick White in that first half, having to put the box kicks up. It is a stiff breeze. But Exeter have got an opportunity very early now to add to their advantage.
No changes to either side at half-time. Just tickling the flags. No, that's more of a tickle. That's much more than a tickle, isn't it?
Two-handed tickle.
Fine. Set.
That's with Anthony Peronise in that front row again. Change early on in the first half for the injured Henry Thomas.
Okay. I know, but the ball's already gone round. Yeah, but
Henry
it's
Thomas
not out now.
off early on after an ankle injury. There's the bloke who playing pretty much a whole game now as a tight head, which will test all parts of the body.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Exeter scrum half Nick White Wallaby preferred as a starter today to Jack Maunder, who's on the bench. And they're out.
Ball's not even in there.
Adding to their early second half pressures by conceding a penalty.
Interesting decisions now for Exeter. Simmons looks like he's going to pop this down in the corner, which is exactly the corner that Bath had the opportunity to score just at the end of that first half. Penalty Goes against Piranesi on that side.
I think it's one of the most telling statistics in the Gallagher Premiership this season that Chiefs, generally speaking, score
Hiding that finger.
half of their
Hiding
tries from
Seven.
lineouts. And here's another golden opportunity.
They're so good in this area. They get themselves set. Bath got to be really aggressive with their defence.
Oh, wonderfully done by Hill. It was down in a flash to involve Ollie Devoto. My goodness, the work that went into that, but then not quite the efficiency, accuracy at the end of it.
They caught us all by surprise there, didn't they? And a little bit of chat, back chat there. Williams that makes the mistake. It's just the pick and go, knocks it on, and then doubles that up by having a little word with Carl Dixon.
Absolutely brilliant line-out, Lol. The speed of it all, the accuracy and the execution of this.
Yeah, look at that, it's the pace. They caught everyone by surprise because
That's what I can see.
maybe it's that variety that they're trying to find in their game.
Man.
Just when you think they're going to set up a driving maul, really lovely off the top, wasn't it?
Have Will Whitty for company next season on his way from Newcastle. That's very decent signing for the Chiefs. Mercer, who had some injury concerns after twisting an ankle towards the end of the first half, but he's fine to continue at the start of the second. Time for Bath to really get their chair back underneath the Sunday tea time table. They've not really got going. There's an indication of that breeze. Almost went backwards off the boot of Priestland.
Ball's gone out the 10.
Priestland this time floated over the top to McConaughey. Spoken of him much the latter stages of that first half, but 5 carries and 100 metres now after that latest one cap. A little bit loose, but it didn't go forward.
Backwards.
Jonathan Healy, touch judge on this near side, confirming as much. So on we go. Roberts did well to hold on to that.
Oh, didn't he just?
Stook. The earth shakes as he moves forward. Low. Very quickly to Priestland. Oh, and then once more Charlie Yule's bursting his way through, and he'll take some stopping. He's taking half of Argentina with him, but the ball's been stripped. It's been lost, and now what about Woodburn? Oh,
Advantage.
that's gone loose.
Yeah, it's a knock-on in the tackle there,
It's a penalty.
which begs the question, should it be anything more than just a penalty? But some wonderful hands initially from Bath, and they make the break, just unable to hold on to the ball, wasn't he? Charlie Yule's be disappointed with that because they were in behind Exeter's defence. Look at this, Charlie Yule's sort of half tackled by Cordero, and he does well to turn him over, strips him. You won't want to see that one again.
Yendel, not straight.
Yeah, we saw Tom Dunn have that problem over there. That breeze, that
Scrum.
little breeze is causing all sorts of problems, not just for the kickers, but for the line-out throwers as well. Jack Yendel knows this ground inside out, and if he can't get it right, then you know it's difficult.
Crouch. Down. Down toe. Bind. Set. 2, 3, 4. Ready.
Francois Lowe belting out the instructions. Chudley, Joseph on his toes. Walked to ground by White. Mercer's waiting for it. Here he is. He's got Ellis up in support as well. Beyond Lowe to Stook. There's the gain line. They made sizable progress. What can they do with it?
A couple of really strong carries actually from Bath forwards, working very hard.
Homer. A couple of side steps. Oh, there's a penalty coming on the way for the high
advantage,
tackle. And Bath are really profiting, as they did in the first half, from holding on to the ball, making Chiefs make their tackles. And Bat will come.
Yeah, it's the high tackle on Jonathan Joseph, isn't it? It's always tricky this when you duck into it.
Hi.
There it is. Comes from Dave Dennis. Just gets him round the neck. Mixture of him and Joe Simmons, stopping Joseph in his tracks.
Talked about the number of tackles that Bath had to make in this fixture last year. That's instructive. They're making Chiefs do more of the work this year.
Yeah, absolutely that. Well, you're not going to beat Exeter just by soaking up tackles and punching yourselves drunk, and Bath have had to do that the last couple of games. They're looking to keep hold of the ball and keeping that continuity, and that's the way in which you can stress Exeter.
Time off.
For that continuity of ruck speed and getting through the phase. And when Bath have done it, they've looked really dangerous, whether it's forcing penalties or forcing territory.
First Chiefs change. Dave Dennis has done his work on this Sunday afternoon. Former Wallaby. He's replaced by Mitch Lees.
Stay where we are, stay where we are. Okay, let's go again, come back on.
He was immediately involved in that attempted line-out steal. Instead, it's still Baths and Roberts. Here goes Charlie Ewells.
Forward that.
Straight through the middle. Nicely done by Cat, the try scorer. Bath starting to look interested with Chudley.
Just a hint of a knock on there from Charlie Ewells. He seems to have got away with it.
Back the other way. Ewells again. 4-5 metres short. In the shadow, but the light of the try line not too far away now. Johnny Hill coming in, trying to disrupt things, taking Lowe out of the way, but on we go. It's Stook. Mercer steps away to try and create a little bit more space, and he's the recipient.
Got to be patient here, Bath.
Peronise with the latest charge, and Tom Ellis again.
I haven't seen anything. Off me, hey, off me.
Still they go with Lowe. Laid back. Zach Mercer, eager for more work, more metres, maybe more tries, not far away. Oh, and now they go through the middle with Chudley. Exeter getting as many black sandbags down as they can, and in the end the sandbagging worked. And once again, so close to the line, Bath have been frustrated.
Yeah, and it's the man with fresh legs that have just come on the field, Mitch Lees, affects the turnover. And again, Chudley, you just felt, keep your patience there. They did that in the first half. Don't need to be taking it on your own.
I didn't see a knock on or anything in play, so I can't rule if I don't see it. Oh, it wasn't
Max
in the
Clark's readying himself to come on, hearing that Jamie Roberts will make way. Ball bounced into touch. Here comes Max Clark. Jamie Roberts entering the final quarter of his first season with Bath.
Okay, play on, come back on.
Fair sprints off. He's still got some power in the tank, just to emphasise the point. Bounds back to the benches.
More.
Exeter getting a good drive on here. Look at that. Got a bit of speed now. Can they deliver the ball going forward?
Out. Down by
Still
Black.
rumbling on.
White once more taking his time. Here's Ewers.
Fallen player.
Hefty reception committee. Ellis and Stook as it was.
Great work from Francois Lowe there initially.
7.
It ends up being a bit of a combination, but just felt that Exeter went back down that short side, probably in an area where Bath were waiting for them to come down there.
They lost so many numbers in that maul that they try to regenerate that pace when it went slow. That's a very good kick from Reece Friesen, but Francois Lowe gets into these unorthodox positions. I mean, he has absolutely no right to be able to win this, but he survives that initial clear out. The body shape there, that's 3-4 Exeter Chiefs trying to clear him off the ball.
One or two question marks about his future recently have been ended by news of a contract extension. He's signed up for what would be a 9th season at the club. And it's not just his work on the pitch now, it's the work helping to develop all of those wonderful young back rowers that Bath have got coming through.
Yeah, they have. One of those is on the bench. We might see him a bit later on, Sam Underhill.
Swift handling, again, trying to find a way through that black wall. Mercer. Oh, he's still got it. Chudley to Peronise.
Got to remain so patient here. Exeter such a big threat over the ball, 5 metres from their try line, as you'd expect.
Here's the new man, Clark. Tom Ellis running into the frame of Alec Hepburn, and now Stook. Just again, Chiefs laying down that defensive line.
Yeah, just getting caught, I thought, Bath with one out runners, but Exeter coming over the top, and interesting decision. Do they cut the deficit?
19.
I think that is the right decision. You know, they feel they're not going to beat Bath by a penalty, not at this stage, not at 53 minutes. They're not going to beat Exeter.
A couple of significant changes. He's one of them. Sam Underhill, all set for his first game of 2019 after the ankle injury that kept him out of the Six Nations. Final Premiership game was actually the last one of 2018 against Leicester at the Rec. And also for Beno Abano, that horrible knee injury in training with England back at the end of last season. He's not long back with us after missing 10 months. Important times these for Beno Abano and for Sam Underhill. Underhill not on yet. Abano is. Ferocious battle for the ball in the air, won by the Chiefs, and now on the floor, the fleet-footed Jack Knoll.
Quite get away from the clutches of Francois Lowe, but that's a poor line out for Bath to lose.
Are you okay? Yeah, he's okay. It's okay, he's okay. Use! Touch!
Mercer wasn't far away from that. In fact, he got a touch on it. Thockenasinger, what's on his mind? What is on the mind of Jolting Joe? Doing some jolting, here he goes. Oh, there's a wonderful tackle in the end that stopped him. Nick White, one of the smallest human beings on the pitch, stopping one of the biggest.
Look at the cheer that it's brought from the Sandy Park faithful. Went really low, didn't he? Because Joe Thockenasinger was on some sort of run here. Gathers it in, and look at that, just picks the space in between.
Number 8.
Ball in one hand. Apparently it's easier to carry it in one hand for Joe. How about this for a tackle? Misses one there. Look at that, comes across and forces the turnover.
I just got called a knock on.
There's wonderful defending. In the meantime, Bath have made that change. Sam Underhill is on. Zach Mercer, the man to make way. Francois Lowe has gone to number 8, and Jack Knowles coming off as well. There's a blood problem for Knoll. There he goes. On in his stead. Tom O'Flaherty, who was brought onto the bench at the last minute when Gareth Steenson pulled out.
What, Bath have had opportunities, haven't they, to level the score. 62% possession they've had in this game. Certainly enjoyed a lot of it in the opening 15 minutes of the second half too. Exeter with the put into the scrum.
Beno Abano. Great to see him part of a Bath front row again. However, it's a Chiefs penalty.
Well, so often the case, Nick, you called it. They love to scrummage long. They pick and choose the scrums that they keep them in, and they know how to eke those penalties out.
Don't give you advantage there.
This is a really good chance for them to clear their lines. Be interesting to see Joe Simmons, how much distance he actually gets on this kick.
3 Chiefs scrum penalties. Giving them 3 metres like these.
But there have been penalties where they've been able to escape their own 22 as well.
Yendall picking out Hill once again, and in the blink of an eye down into the arms of Williams, and he's been invited to take a seat.
Well, that was a decent tackle, wasn't it?
Another penalty, however. Apologies for the language. Hit from Sam Underhill.
That's a way to introduce yourself. I'll pick the biggest guy on the field and
Spoke about pre-game.
put him on his backside.
I can clearly see what's
I
happening.
think that's what you were describing earlier as a two-handed tickle, wasn't it, Lawrence?
Okay, thank you.
Look at that.
Off feet.
I'll tell you what, Reece Priestland was delighted.
Simmons into the terracing and into an area of some threat again with the line out to come.
Yeah, they managed to force the turnover last time Exeter were down here, but will the Chiefs make Bath pay for not getting points on the board a few moments earlier?
Once again taken by Hill at the front. Round they come. He's on the floor, and they've won another penalty.
Gone across and landed. Landed on top. Landed on top.
Carl Dixon seems to be blowing the whistle an awful lot in this second half.
Done an awful lot recently against Bath as well, and it's costing them a lot of ground.
Well, it's just their inability to be able to turn the territory which they had into absolutely anything, compounded with the penalties which they're given. I mean, it was about, what, 90 seconds ago. They're in Exeter's 22. They repelled the threat. They've now got 5-metre line out.
Once again, Yendall, where's Hill? He runs to the front. He was the decoy, and that was great work in the end from Elliot Stook.
Exeter have retained it, though. Real aerial battle at line-out time, isn't it? Both sides getting up there.
Ewers again. Armand not far away. And Harry Williams also trying to burst through. Didn't have the ball with him. Yendall does. Oh, Yendall still does. Kvesic.
Ryan's offside. One.
Oh, another Bath penalty. Another Bath penalty.
That one's a back foot penalty for just creeping offside.
Alec Hepburn was the latest to give it a little bit of a blast. Williams goes climbing over the top. Once again, Kvesic.
It's another penalty advantage against Francois Lowe.
Kvesic looking for it. And Bath were very quickly aware of the danger that he posed. And then White, slightly smaller danger. Don Armand was riding side saddle. Maybe it'll be him next. Trying to force it over the line. Now it's Bath sandbags. Exeter looking for a way through, and Yendall, not quite. Not quite. Hepburn again, and he lays it up, and this is Ewers. What defence from Bath. Studs on their own try line.
That's great work. Underhill's in there. I'll go back to the penalty if the ball doesn't come out. There it is, in fact.
Time off.
Exeter really do take their time. They're so patient. They almost force you to give away the penalty because you're so desperate in defence.
Scrum and 3 down here. 2 offsides here. The next one will go to the bin. 4 in a row. 3 in this area.
Here comes a grand slammer.
That's just what you want to see, isn't it, when you're right on your own line?
Okay, before we have
those two coming on.
We have an offside over there.
Cowan Dickey on the left, and Thomas Francis
over here,
on the right. Week on from the pandemonium of Cardiff.
No, wait, just don't. No. Time's off. Time's off.
Well, again, apologies for the language.
Having a conversation. Yeah, I know,
indication of where the pressure's been coming from over the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, look, there's 1 a minute for Bath. Consecutive penalties. They've gone from the Exeter 22 all the way down to their own 5-metre line, and now these two, the first thing they're going to do in the game is pack down for an Exeter scrum.
That's what we're here and here. They're on the goal.
Harry Williams wanders back to the touchline. Jack Yendall as well. Cowan-Dickey and Thomas Francis are on. Jack Yendall, who scored his 20th Premiership try, putting the Chiefs ahead before half-time.
Okay, scrum is called.
He's just sneaked on as well, hasn't he?
He'll add to that physicality in defence, having to soak up so many tackles. He's a really good organiser, got plenty of experience. Certainly need to lean upon all of that to get themselves out of the situation.
Bath have a new scrum half as they try to do that. Khan Fotuali'i, the experienced Samoan, is on for the former chief Will Chudley. There's Fotuali'i.
Just don't keep moving.
Good decision by Exeter to go for a scrum. They're on it. Bath are on probably the last warning you fear from the referee, with 4 penalties, and just won the last scrum penalty. Exeter.
It's very good at getting under the fingernails of opposing scrums and scrum halves, Fotuali'i, but he had to take a backward step there because another penalty. Walking it up to the line.
Well, surprise it's not a penalty
it's a penalty try. There's only so much patience a referee can have on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, he thought about it, didn't he? He thought about the penalty try first of all, Carl Dixon. He just wanted to see whether he could play the advantage, but that doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. 5 consecutive penalties. Ultimately arrived with the penalty try decision. There it is. Look, thought about it there. No, I'll play the advantage. No, I'm not. I'm going to go under the post. And there's also a yellow card for Benno Abano as well. Not the return that he wanted to make after injury, but he's paid the price for that consecutive pressure.
Well, he's not been with us long, and he's had to do an awful lot of defending while he has been with us. And because it was a penalty try, we don't bother with the conversion these days. I'm sure you're all up to speed with that now. So a 7-point score, potentially a very significant one as we clock into the final quarter.
It's a very healthy lead, isn't it? 14 points. Bath now got to play with 14 men as well for the next 10 minutes. Just goes to show they're paying the price for not taking the opportunities when they had them.
Going to have a word with Rob Baxter in a moment or two. Interested to hear what's on his mind. Simmons, and then Jack Maunder, who's now on, and Slade, and this is Cordero.
This is a period where you feel Exeter are just going to ramp up the tempo now. You can really smell blood.
White flicks it away to Armand, and again, Chiefs now very much with the wind in their sails. That breeze buffeting from left to right. Very much the way the contest is going at the moment. However, holding on the floor, so Bath have a penalty. Let's have a word with Rob Baxter as Jack Knoll prepares to rejoin us. I suspect, Rob, if we'd have talked to you midway through the first half, you might have had very different things on your mind, because Bath were really rattling you in that opening 40.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a relatively stiff breeze out there, which kind of, although the playing conditions are very good, I think psychologically sometimes it kind of puts you on the back foot a little more than it should. Obviously, I don't think we're not at our absolute fluent best, but we're kind of doing things okay, and that's a bit where we are. This is kind of what sometimes happens in these kind of games. You bring back a number of players who haven't been here for a while, and it just feels a little bit fractured in enough ways to just break things down a little bit. On top of that, I think Bath have been very, very competitive today. They've certainly come after us. They look very dangerous on the ball. Even with this 2-score lead, I'm thinking there's a lot of work left in this game for us to do.
Yeah, we're sensing that they're holding on to the ball a lot more, Rob, making you make more tackles.
Definitely. I mean, they're definitely here to come and play. And this is what should happen in these conditions at this time of year. You know, they should be good competitive games, and the ball should be on the field for a long time. So, it's like I say, it's going to be a challenge. There's numerous times when Bath have got on the front foot against us, and at the moment we've just managed to repel most things. So, like I say, I'm still far from confident that we're gonna see things through how we want. But we've got some points on the board, and coming into the last quarter, that's going to be important.
All right, good man. We'll see how it goes. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Woodburn making that break up that short side.
Still going, taking it well beyond halfway. Dave Ewers is down injured, back in the 22. He picked up a knock in that defensive effort. Devoto, again, he's played well today and finding some space. Simmons, Slade, one-handed to Cordero. Noel, who's back with us, offered him some support and out of the back door brilliantly by the Puma Cordero. White. And this is Billy Keast, young academy prop who's been making a name for himself over the last couple of months.
Advantage.
Photo elite, he wasn't far away, and they have the advantage as a result of the knock-on. Joseph, that's nice. It might yet work out for Thuppen Singer. Oof, bounce of the ball.
That's a good option, isn't it, from Jonathan Joseph, who spoke to Dan Lyle, talking about that transition and trying to turn defence into attack. Just need that ball just to bounce up a little bit. I'd like to have seen that foot race between him and Jack Noel.
We've got medics on. We've got medics on. We've got medics on. Time's off. We've got medics on.
Jack Walker coming on, 22-year-old hooker, replacing Tom Dunn. A little over 15 minutes to go.
Happy, Sarah? Okay.
Seem entirely happy as he's having a chat with Stuart Hooper on the way up.
Battered and bruised bodies, haven't they? Bath worked incredibly hard.
Well, again, Ellis working so hard to try and disrupt Armand in the air, but not quite enough. And once more, it's Devoto gliding through. White to Hill. He's become increasingly prominent in this contest, the second row lock forward. Ewers, who's fine now. Oh, and Simmons ghosting through over the top to Woodburn, and he just couldn't quite gather the ball and his feet at the same time.
Did the first bit beautifully, Joe Simmons. Done that so many times, he's annoyed with himself because he knows the pass wasn't quite with the same accuracy. That lovely show and go that we've seen already. And then that is a difficult pass to make. And it's certainly a difficult one for Ollie Woodburn to take. But lovely initial break.
What I quite like about Joe Simmons, of course, he's been training with the team all week, but he certainly wasn't expected to be starting. But to be mentally be able to switch your mind into that starting berth and then put together the quality performance which he has today. Was that pass all right? I think it was pretty good. Ollie Woodburn would be slightly disappointed, but this young man here,
7 is going to drop.
He's playing a wonderful game. This is Stats here. Always a threat with the ball in hand. We've seen already set up one try.
Okay, just wait.
Again, we talked about it in the first half, but just the pace that he's coming onto the ball, immediately stretching the defence, putting question marks in their mind.
His acceleration onto the gain line. He's always changing gear, going from third into fifth, ball in two hands, using the options around him, and he's picked the right options because of the amount of runners and dangerous threats that Exeter have right across the pitch.
Yeah, Francois has to come off now because of that sin bin.
They didn't realise they're uncontested. Would you like to go for the line?
Beno Urbano.
They didn't realise they were uncontested.
Cat's work's not quite done yet.
We're going to go for the line out. They didn't realise they were. Oh, that's it.
Oh, hang on, there's a bit of confusion going on here.
Listen.
Let's have a listen to Carl Dixon.
Okay. So if you're going to take the line out, one has to go back off. Okay, one has to go back off. Okay, can you bring 7 back, please?
Because it's not a scrum.
Bring him back, we're going to have the line out. Because they didn't realise we're going uncontested.
Well, it'll add to Nathan Catt's statistics at the end of the match. He's run 30 metres unopposed.
Of course.
Into the far side and back again.
You got it? Okay.
Quite sure Francois is coming back on though.
Well, no, they're going to bring Levi Douglas on instead. So here comes Douglas. Hefty second row as well.
Francois didn't have the look of a man who was going to return back to the field.
And this is Sam Skinner as well, who played his part in that ridiculous game, Calcutta Cup last weekend, started in Scotland's back row. Ollie Devoto has been replaced. Sam Hill's on, and Don Armand's off as well.
And number 7, Don Armand.
Once again, the scrap for the ball in the air, just about won by Bath.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for them to get out of this corner, though. And Exeter know it.
No, you've left. Use it now, please.
That's where he charged down. Where's that gone? But, thankfully for Bath, fell into the arms of Rory McConaughey, but they're still making a complete Horlicks of this.
Just need to be a little bit more patient.
Pass to Priestland and McConaughey.
There's no way out of there, is there?
Have to resort to the box kick in the end. He doesn't seem keen on it.
Just got to make sure this goes to touch. I've got so many people all within a 5-metre channel.
Everyone hold in front.
It's a good kick and he sent it over the stands, so there's no chance of a quick throw. Took him a few more phases than perhaps they'd have wanted. Lacked a bit of control at times, but a very good kick.
Kind of caught a glimpse of Anthony Watson a second or so ago. He's been out for over a year now with that Achilles injury against Ireland. It's that long since we last saw him, but he was part of the warm-up session this morning before the match, and he's not far away, Hughes.
He's certainly not. He was up early this morning, apparently super excited just to be part of the matchday squad. It's the one thing you miss as an injured player. Hopefully see him in a very distant future.
You may continue.
Yeah. But no, I'm really excited to see someone like Anthony Watson back. He did an article this week about people writing him off and people talking about him as not an option for the World Cup. He's got so much quality wherever it is in the back three. Be good to see him back on the pitch and try and force his way into that England training squad at the end of the season.
There's another player who's been out for too long. Joe's brother, Sam Simmons. It's interesting in his absence, Lawrence, the work that Matt Kovasik's been pressed into at number 8. It's been 6 or so years since he started there before this season. He was a Worcester player back then, but he's very much part and parcel in that shirt now.
Yeah, he's played 4 months in that position. Obviously no Thomas Waldron, nasty ACL injury to Sam Simmons, and it's kind of been forced on him. Sure, he came here, would have wanted to play on the flank, but he's really put in a good stint. Been played 17 out of 18 Premiership games already for Exeter this season, and
5 has changed.
He's a real mainstay in that
legal
team.
To start with, then he's changed.
Certainly when Simmons comes back, it'll be very interesting to see what
you started legal, then you change.
Rob Baxter decides to do with his back row options.
I wonder if he's put on the weight that Rob suggested he needed to. Oh, this is yours, Hughes. Very nearly.
Your arms in the air gave it away.
I was ready.
Freddie Burns with the kick. He looks ready, doesn't he? £50,000 watch and a pink shirt. Never more ready. Gathered in by Stook, who's had a busy afternoon. Here's Clark.
Off feet!
Stook. Bearing down on the final 10 minutes. This is Douglas. Burns. Oh, that's neat. Ellis is chasing after it. It was Noel who got there first, colliding with Cordero.
I tell you what, I like Jack Noel just taking away any element of uncertainty out of that. You'd often want the fullback in that occasion, Santi Cordero, owning it. Jack Noel diffuses the threat.
Slade, this time his left boot, and just taking the heat out of the situation.
Their transition is absolutely brilliant. I really like it. You got Jack Noel in behind. That looked like a real threatening position. He then gets on the ball 2-3 phases later. This is it from Henry's. That's it from Henry Slade. And it's the ability just to be able to territorially just win that battle, keep forcing Bath into the half, making them play out.
Seems it's on a few seconds early, but we won't quibble. Ben Urbano back on the pitch.
Let out on parole, isn't he? 15 seconds early.
For good behaviour.
For Francois Lowe not getting off the pitch quick enough. Brilliant.
Lads, now, let's go, please.
Well, Bath hanging in there. Exeter haven't found the killer blow that Rob Baxter's talking about. He feels there's still some rugby in this game.
Jack Walker. Cries of not straight, but Carl Dixon was unmoved. Clark trucks it up. Here's Walker again. Fine young prospect. Here's Burns. And again, Yules doing the muscle work.
Just a bit of an accuracy just crept into Bath's game in the second half. They looked really threatening with ball in hand. Continuity was lovely. And they haven't been able to impose that game upon Exeter. Exeter have looked good in defence. And they haven't been able to get any territory, get out of their half. And this is where the game's been largely played so far.
Charged down by Ewers. Douglas waits. Douglas drives. Fettualiti to Burns. Joseph. Whips it over the top to McConaughey.
That was some pass from Joseph, wasn't it?
Burns. Douglas. Oh, that was a big hit from Sam Hill. My goodness. Just chopped Douglas in half, the smaller bloke.
Time.
Oh, hang on, there's
No.
injury on the floor.
Time off.
Tickets for the Exeter Chiefs Gallagher Premiership fixtures against Wasps, Harlequins and Northampton Saints are now on sale from the Exeter Chiefs Ticket Hub.
So Dave Ewers, it's just getting some attention.
Got very gingerly on the floor for it. You got very
This week there'll be live music from the Shrine and Dan's Disco. We'll be belting out the classic hits in the wigwam.
I felt like he's gone forward first. And
Got a bang on the head there,
That's
didn't
what I thought on the first one.
They thought initially he'd been knocked out.
It's the shoulder, isn't it, of Paranese into the side of his head.
Of course, it's not their fault. They go forward
Getting
first.
his head on the wrong side of that. It's a big old collision.
They go first, then obviously.
Well refereed by Carl Dixon, spots it.
Just wanted to make sure you're right.
It was really good work, wasn't it? He saw it immediately.
Doctors are happy, but it's important to ask the question if you see anyone relatively unstable oh, okay, he is off for HIA.
Time's off.
Don Armand pressed back into action.
Perfect. Let's go then, lads. Black, let's come up. White, we're in possession, white scrum. Stand back on that, please. Just stay away. Thank you. Now stay right.
Make sure you've not lost the senior stewards.
Crouch!
As the clock starts ticking down, you've got to feel if Bath are going to get something out of this game, they've got to strike pretty soon. Get another free kick there. Quick tap.
They're not messing around with it. It's Underhill who brings it away. Underhill, who was sat watching Tom Curry do extraordinary things in the England 7 shirt over the course of the Six Nations. A shirt that was his before the injury. Wonderful competition heading into the summer and towards the World Cup for Eddie Jones. Here's Douglas.
Off feet!
Stook.
Slow ball, isn't it? Having to go in and dig, that's a bit better.
Burns again. McConaughey trying to position himself. Woodburn too. Oh, it might yet work in Chiefs' favour. It's Hill and it's Simmons and the ball inside to Cordero and those dancing feet once more. Eventually flipped up by Joseph. Chiefs looking for a 4th try, for the bonus point securing try. Hill away to Armand, and this is Lees. White again hefty thump forward. Ooh, Thomas Francis coming in to dislodge the ball.
Their advantage. It's a scrum. Just a scrum advantage.
With the advantage. Oh, it's still bursting through Armand. And now Noel. White's got it. Clipped away by Slade. Surely Cordero. Oh,
That's the advantage scrum.
well, the ball's still loose and Woodburn will score. Homer did what he could to disrupt the tide. But Tony Rowe and his Exeter Chiefs will back the win and they'll bag another bonus point win.
Yeah, he thought it was only a matter of time, really. It came from a Bath mistake. And Exeter picked it up. Cordero went in behind. Look at that dancing feet. Once they get in behind, Bath are always struggling. And then there's a series of pick and goes with just narrow Bath defence. And once they realised they had the men on the outside, once Simmons is able to get that pass out, Woodburn runs in for a relatively easy score.
They've been so dangerous, haven't they, especially in the second half, living off some of Bath's mistakes, but their transitional work of being able to find the space, use their power, use their punch, and look at Ollie Woodburn, record-breaking try, up to 21 at Sandy Park. Another very simple but effective finish.
Just think defensively they've been really strong in the last 20 minutes. Bath throwing everything at them but just running out of numbers, and Exeter soaking up all that pressure and then just turning it to their advantage.
Now the applause is for Jack Knoll and Nick White as they make their way off. Brothers in arms. Into the setting sun, not quite, but it doesn't matter. The maths already stack up in Chiefs' favour.
Yeah, ball went back from Homer, went for the intercept, didn't make it, but the ball went backwards, so play on advantage, and Ollie Woodburn
Didn't need it. Didn't need it, Ollie. Clear as day. Hill nearly got to it, but Joseph ripped it away from him. For all Bath's hard work, particularly in the first half, where they really rattled the cages of last season's runners-up, it looks as if they're going to come away with nothing.
Yeah, they started so brightly. I mean, they've not scored a point since the 15th minute of the game, and that's, you know, credit to Exeter in their defence, but also, you know, it's a lovely illustration of how poor Bath have been at maintaining possession and keeping that pressure on Exeter's defence.
Bertolini, Burns, Peronisi. He's run a marathon today. Henry Thomas injured early on. Ankle injury.
Exeter only committing one or two to the breakdown now. Bath having to commit so many more numbers just to retain possession. Feel like they're just going from side to side at the minute.
They're keeping hold of the ball, but look at the ruck speed at the moment. Not really able to generate anything. It's another forced offload, it's another turnover. That's been the story of their second half.
It was open play.
Maunder, new scrum half, and match ending in a bit of a wrestle. Can Cordero add some quality to it? Lees, Woodburn, the try scorer. Two former Bath players have scored against former employees today. Ollie Devoto and most recently Ollie Woodburn. Kvesic.
Let go, let go. Also here, don't do that, please.
Still Maunders, still Chiefs. Slade. And now Skinner. Francis. Chiefs trying to end this contest at a gallop. Lees will certainly add to that quest. Maunder, and then Luke Cowan-Dickey and Cordero. The thoughts running through the mind of Simmons. Over the top, wonderfully away by Hill, and Woodburn will... Well, he could have run it in. What's he playing at? What on earth is he playing at? Well, you can take charity so far, but they still might get the try. That's just ridiculous. Here goes Hill. Could still score. Slade's calling for it. And taken on by young Billy Keast. Well, it should be over by now, and Exeter should have a 5th try.
Wow.
They say charity begins at home, but my goodness, what on earth was Ollie Woodburn thinking?
What's he thinking there? I mean, he's just topped the try-scoring charts at Sandy Park, and a chance to dot down again. But you're going to throw a pass, throw a good one.
I think sometimes when it's too obvious, too easy, you've got too many options, it's easy to pick the wrong one. Either way, has not affected the end result.
Chiefs forced to work so hard, but in the end, it's only March, but they have already secured their place in May's playoff. Nobody has done it as quickly or as efficiently as this season's Exeter Chiefs. They are guaranteed a place in the top 4. They're guaranteed a place in the playoffs. Bath's hunt for the top 4, increasingly Bath's hunt for the top 6 goes on. Chiefs have won it by 20.